Hello everybody, this is Tenacious Earl, and I want to start doing some shorter videos that are somewhat tutorials on the games that I play here on the channel. And this one is going to be based off of the video that I made last night that was kind of an update of the various golf projects that I have going on here on the channel. I talked about this a little bit in the video, and I'd kind of like to demonstrate a little more about what this means. And it's course difficulty in History Maker Golf. So we've been doing quite a bit of History Maker Golf here in the last few months with the Tenacious Golf Tour and sort of talking about Slacker Tour. And something that could come up for you, and it's come up for me on occasion, is maybe you play tournament mode and you find that the score, let's say the score for your third round is minus 17 and the target score is minus 17, and you're playing a course that is, by the looks of it, somewhat easy. And I'm going to show you how you can, if you've been watching these videos of the play, you might be able to guess a bit how that works, because it's not, that part of it's not too much rocket science. But how do you adjust the courses in order to, say, make an easy course tougher, or make a tough course? Let's say you wanted to take a U.S. Open track like Fowen's Golf Club, or we saw Founders recently in the American Open. How can you take that, and let's say you wanted to play a regular tour event, and those kinds of events can, the level of difficulty just isn't going to be the same. The PGA Tour is going to want to promote viewership of their product, and so they're going to make the course more amenable to birdies. They're going to try and reduce the difficulty, and that's a lot of times that's why they wouldn't pick a course like Shinnecock Hills or Oakmont, that's Fowen's, if you haven't figured that out, or the Country Club in Brookline, Mass, or Bethpage Black, or, the list goes on and on. Now, they do play Pebble Beach on the tour. They do play Torrey Pines, but again, they sort of soup those up. So how can you take one of those courses, which sometimes it can be tough to tell whether, and I'm not going to talk so much, and maybe I'll do another tutorial another time on Pebble and say, what is Pebble? That's a good question. So Pacific Golf Links and also Pacific Pines are two courses that are regular tour stops that are used in majors on occasion. How can you look at that and say, was this designed to be a major course, or was this designed to be a regular tour course? We could do that sometime, and maybe I will, as sort of a bridge from this. But right now, I just want to show you two courses. Actually, at first, I would like to just sort of talk through the various mechanics of the cards, and then we'll talk a little bit more and go a little bit in depth with a couple of courses. So hold on just a second while I kind of turn things around here on my phone. I need to get this up in my bracket here so I can show you. I don't have a whiteboard to be able to do, a chalk talk or whatever you call it nowadays. We used to have chalkboards. Yes, kids, we did. I swear we did. But all right, so what do we have here? So let's zoom it in a little bit. So, and let's move it up like this. All right, so History Maker Golf Mini Tutorial. And this is going to be, and actually I'm going to do this a little bit. So this is going to be course difficulty. All right, so let's get out a card here. I don't want to go into a lot of specifics about percentages and all that stuff. I don't really want to go into the way that Keith comes up with his course mechanics. I just want to show sort of the general philosophy behind things. And so here is we're going to start with Founders because we talked about that last week, and we did a tournament with that recently. And so this is your typical card. It's a little different because this is one of the newer cards, and so there's a little bit of an extra flair to it. There are some extra trinkets that help make it somewhat add to the interest of the holes compared to the early courses that were designed by Play. But in this one, what are you typically looking for difficulty? So this is the first hole. So there are really two big factors to the difficulty of a hole. There's more than that, but we can boil it down a lot of times into two things, and that is the course rating and the course control rating. Okay, and that's what I'm going to call them. I forget what his terminology is, but let's just call that. So course rating and course control rating. Okay, so course rating usually shows up right here, and I'm going to bring out hole number 2 because that is a little more obvious. And number 2, the course control rating, or the course rating, excuse me, is semi-daunting. So you have everything from double cordial all the way to full daunting. Okay, so here you go with semi-daunting, and of course the semi means that the decider die is used to determine whether a hole is daunting when a player plays that hole or not. It may not. Sometimes it doesn't come up in the gameplay that it is or not, because if you well, I'll have to talk more about the course control rating, but here is 3. Here is straight up daunting. So the difference is the dot, the burger dot, that signifies semi. So that's the main difference here. There's not much difference just looking at these two factors from these cards if I'm looking at this besides that, and the reason for that is that their course control rating is 4. So course control rating can be from 1 to 5. And so the course control rating for number 1 here at Founders is a 2. Now, for this is going to be easy to very difficult. And we'll put even very difficult, very easy to very difficult. Okay, and that's for both of these. When you've got a course control rating of 1, the way that these games usually work, if the golfer has control, they will fare better on a hole. They have a better chance of it. Now, that's going to be related to their card a lot of times, but even with a not so good card, you are probably going to end up with a par. This is my personal belief. You're going to have you're going to have a chance at par on just about every roll unless you've got just like Hacker or Duffer or something like that. You're going to get a par chance when you are like on this. So this, again, if you're unfamiliar with the videos I've done, what we do is we roll 4 dice together, but the white die determines whether you use the golfer's traits or the course's traits. And so if you roll a 4 or a 5 on the white die, so this is basically a 33% chance that you're going to have a more difficult time at getting a par. Okay? If you get a 1, 2, or 3, then it's going to go off the golfer's traits. And like I said, most of the time, unless you really end up with, and even if you end up with, let's say, a Gallery Groans, or you're still probably going to end up with a par chance. Whereas if you end up on one of these guys, then you're going to be talking about going into these things. Now, there are some factors to all of this. You can engineer a tougher hole down here. You can, but it's not only just, sometimes the rough can be better for you than the square. So that's where I would say you almost have to discount these if you want to adjust your course difficulty. If you've got these two factors are the most readily changeable in your control. Okay. Course control rating, it just seems so innocuous, but I think that is your most that's pretty important. And then this is what I'll show you here. Let's go and take a look at founders. So here I've done a little bit of analysis here, and so this is how the holes stand up. And so my nomenclature here, on the left is founders, and on the right is Golf City Stadium, which is La Quinta. The PGA West, I think, is the name of the course. A relatively easy hole. Okay. Generally speaking, you can see here, so my notation here is this is a normal hole, and N is normal. D with a dot is semi-daunting and daunting, and you get the picture. Then there's cordial with a dot, which is semi-cordial, yada yada. This is the number of course control factors. So taken individually, you could start just matching them up here. So you've got normal holes to start. Golf City Stadium in this case has 4, so it's you're going to have a little extra difficulty here, but then let's go to number 2. You've got a full cordial hole here at 2, and I'll show you some interesting things here with 1. So that means not only is it cordial, you're gonna have to roll a 5 in order to see to give you any chance to hit those hazard sections of the card. And if you happen to hit the square, then you're in great shape because you're almost certainly going to get a birdie opportunity. Okay, whereas over here on founders, you got a semi-daunting hole with 4 levels of difficulty, so it's almost always going to send you. Actually, well, if it were 5, it would almost always. We're going to say this. So this is a 66% chance that you're going to end up either in the hazards, or let's say you get on a course card, then you're going to have a 50-50 chance if you get there on a course square, where you're going to end up daunting. And that is going to leave you at best with a par, and maybe sometimes you will get away with it, and there's probably a 1 in 6 chance that you have a chance at a birdie if that hole is daunting. But let's instead take a look at the greater sort of the what do you want to call it, sort of a wide look at this. So here are the numbers after kind of compiling all these, and let's cover up Golf City Stadium for a second here. So let's focus on founders. No double cordial holes at founders. So and double cordial is also special because the 6 roll becomes an automatic birdie on double cordial. You got nothing like that. You don't even have semi-double cordial there. You're just, forget about automatic birdies. You have 1 cordial hole, okay, and that 1 hole has a factor of 2. So you're still, even there, it's going to send you at probably a 60% rate into hazards, because they're just a lot of times those. I don't have. That's another thing you could do is count up the number of potential rolls you could have in the golf cam course versus hazards. It's almost certainly going to send you to a hazard, even if you get that 4 or 5 on that 1 cordial hole. Now you got 3 semi-cordial, again averaging at 2. But here, let's do it this way. Let's take a look at, as opposed to Golf City Stadium, Double cordial, there's 1, and it's a 1. It's a 1 golf, a course control rating. So, you're not going to get many opportunities. Well, so this is a cordial anyway. Like double cordial's cordial. So if you get the 5, you're almost certainly going to get the birdie. If you roll a 6, you're going to get an automatic birdie. Now you've got cordials that are going to be easier. You're going to send more of them to the golfer on this course. A 1.3, so 2 out of the 3 cordials are 1, whereas the 1 over here is a 2. And so, and again, when you get the course control, even if it is a cordial hole, you're still, as I said, going to side towards having a chance at ending up in some hazards, which is, when I say hazard, rough, bunker, water, maybe trees, which is going to hamper you and make it more likely than not you're going to end up with a par chance rather than a birdie chance. Semi-cordial, you got the same number here, but again, at Golf City Stadium, you've got a lower course control number for those 3 semi-cordial. If you go to normal holes, actually, in this case, Golf City Stadium has more course control for normal than the 3 do at Founders, and that's kind of interesting. But the other thing to realize about this is that with a normal hole, you really get rid of a lot of your opportunity for the worst. So it kind of, we'll say, averages it out. So you're going to have a lot of course elements here, but it's you are going to get your share of, but you're going to get a par quite often, I would say. You will have some bogey chances because you're bound to get a green 6, and a green 6 is going to destroy you if you get course control, more likely than not. But there are select cases where it doesn't hurt you, but with a normal hole, it's going to be dead. Now, if you start getting into this, now the semi-daunting 6 versus 5 Founders to Golf City, and they're both at an average of 4. Okay, so another semi-daunting hole at Founders as compared to Golf City Stadium. Now here is where it's interesting. No full daunting holes at Golf City Stadium, whereas there's 5 at Founders, and it's over. You're getting probably, and you're getting 2 out of the 5 are completely controlled by the course. Okay, so you got a 1 in 6 chance of getting basically a par on the white die. Otherwise, you're either going into hazards or you're going to have to deal with problems. The other thing that the daunting does, not having it here, this tends to eat up your blue chips. A golfer who is good may save his blue chips to try and avoid the daunting, but you've got to use 2 of them per daunting hole. The semi-daunting, you may be able to get away with 1, but you got to roll that decider die, and once you've spent the 1 blue chip, if you get the decider die saying yes, you really should be spending the other blue chip, unless you're just trying to take a flyer on it and say, I'm going to take my chances. I only have 1 blue chip. I need to take my chances. It's the end of the round, and I'd really like to get control of this hole. I need to hope that it's going to come up as a no, and so then you might take a chance, and then you would waste that chip if it comes up yes. So I did not do a full average over here, and I should have. And it's a little too late for that as far as the course control rating. I don't know, maybe I can do it here. So give me 1 moment. So that's 10, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? Yeah, 11, and 8. So that's going to be 20, 30, 42, and 50 divided by 18. I think that Well, here, I'm going to get my calculator up. I'm not going to do long division in front of you. I could do that, but let's instead do 50 divided by 18. So that's an average of 2.77 course control units per hole. So clearly you're going down in your difficulty. So this is another thing if you want to take an interesting look. I'm going to turn this card upside down. Let's take a look at this. So no daunting. There's the same number of semi-daunting holes at Golf City as there are daunting at Founders. At Golf City, there's the same number of normal as semi-daunting, same number of semi-cordial as normal, same number of cordial as semi-cordial, and the same number of double cordial as cordial. So this I would say validates the. And so what's the difference here in course control rating as well? If you take 3.44 and subtract 2.77, that's going to leave you with 0.67. So that's about two-thirds of a control unit, we'll say. So this basically, I would say, validates what I did with, to an extent. I went a little farther. So I was using, which course did I use? It was Hills of Ire. So Aaron Hills. I wanted to make that easier, and so that was an open course. It's also been a PGA Championship course, I believe. But, a tough course. And so what I did is I dialed everything back by a half a rating. And so if you, again, looking at this is basically the way it would look right here at Golf City Stadium if you dialed this back a half a course rating, right? Everything from here, cordial became double cordial, semi-cordial became cordial, blah, 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 all like that. That's exactly what would happen. So I ended up with no daunting holes at, well, I don't know if I ended up with no daunting holes at, I would have, because there's nothing above daunting. So I pulled everything back a half rating. But that ends up making it be just about what an easy PGA Tour track would be. And what I also did, so here, let's take this other paper here. So to decrease difficulty, I'm going to zoom this back out again. Lower course rating and course control rating by half and 1 respectively. So what I did, and let's see, I have Hills of Ire here. Might as well pull it out and show you. So what I did was I did not mark the cards. You just have to be super diligent when you're playing the round. You need to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to play the hole. I got a 4. Well, that's going to be golfer control. If you, on hole 1, if you roll a 4, the golfer's going to get control. The other thing that this does is it kind of dilutes out the extra control factor that if you get that in the tourney perks and issues, or if you get a special result and a golfer gets extra control, they're not going to have that extra control here. They'll still have control of it. It's just it's going to sort of bring the other golfers a little bit back. So, but that's what you need to do. And then, so let's say you get a 5 and it is course controlled. Then let's say you end up with a 26 on the black and the silver, or whatever you're using there. And so you get 26, and that's golf cam course. And then you go, is it a daunting hole? You need to make sure you say to yourself, it is not. You don't even have to roll it. You just say it's a normal hole, and you just say it's not. So then it wouldn't be cordial, it wouldn't be daunting, and so you've got, let's say, the easy par, or if there are going to be other chances where you might have this. But that's kind of the stuff you have to do. You have to. Now there are probably ways you could take baggies and adjust these, or you just come up with your own card and just adjust them. Take this, print your own cards with the same markings and everything, and just, people do that. There are ways you can do it, or you can just be extremely diligent and say to yourself, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to remember that every time it's going to be one easier in the course control rating, and it's also going to be a half course rating. So if it's semi-daunting, it's going to come down to normal. If it's daunting, it's going to come down to semi-daunting. If it's cordial, it's going to be double cordial. Okay? So, and to increase, do opposite. Some people might want to do that. Some people might want to say, what happened if we played a major at Gulf City Stadium, or at like Rock River and where the TPC Deer run? That's what you do. You just mark them up one. If you see semi-cordial, you say it's going to be normal. And so somebody who looks like they're going to get a nice chance at a birdie by rolling the 5 is going to not have a chance. They're going to instead get a chance at a par. And you take a normal hole and you make it semi-daunting, and it's gonna increase the difficulty. So it's probably going to raise or lower the stroke average maybe by 2, I would say. That's just my gut feeling, whether that's the case or not. Now, if you go into the, I'm going to pull this back, so bear with me for a second. I'm going to go back to my other. I'm hoping this is mini enough, so it's almost a half an hour. I'm really hoping that this gives some interesting ideas. It explains to you some of the theory behind the reason why things are rated the way they are. And there are lots of other ways you could tweak this. I've done that before by just changing a couple holes. You could make a couple holes. You could take Post-it notes or something like that and just like cover it up. Cover up the daunting, or just make little notes to try and, if you just want to make little tweaks, if you want to add a couple holes that are going to be good birdie chances, maybe even let's say a par 5 is there, that's a long par 5, but you want to have a birdie opportunity on a hole. You could say, I'm going to make this one cordial, and I'm going to take away 1 or 2. You could even do 2 of the course control rating numbers and make it a 1, make it 5. You have to roll a 5 to get control. It will make a world of difference. It'll open it up to the opportunity maybe for an eagle. The other thing you could do is just say, because here's part of it is you might say to yourself, well, that that yardage on there says 610 yards. Well, every hole has like 4 tees when the seniors play it, the regular members play it. You could just say, I'm going to use a different tee box, and it's going to go down to be a 530 yarder. And then the pros, it makes it so it makes it an eagle opportunity. You can do that. I mean, this game is moldable. You can create your own courses. I would suggest, if you're going to do that, please go to the play.com website and purchase his course creation document. There are some templates out there. Please give Keith your business. The guy makes all sorts of products for us, and he put his sweat equity into putting this product out there, put his money on the line to do it. So the last thing I want to do is take his sales away or anything like that. Make sure you give him money. If you're going to make your own courses, because like I said, there are templates that are out there, please do the diligence, spend the few bucks it is for the PDF of the course and player creation tutorial, and document, and then you're free of and clear of your conscience as to whether or not you're you've done him wrong. But this game, there's so much that you can do. I've done a couple of sort of personal sort of hacks, if you want to call them, or house rules. The lag rules, one of them. And this is just another thing that I probably won't do it a ton, but there are times when it'll be fun to do and see how that works. It's kind of like the weather effects. The weather effects, that may give you some other ideas of things that you can try to change the way that the golf course plays for you. If you just want to do something a little different, experiment. It's fine. No biggie. This is your world. It's History Maker Golf, so you're creating a history of your own. And so anyway, I just want to again thank Play.com for the game here, for creating it, for a lot for the courses, and again, I can't. This has brought me a lot of joy, and just if you want to share some of your own experiences in the comments, please do. If you have any other questions about ways to change the course difficulty, feel free to leave a comment here. But it's I think there's so much that is mysterious about this game that talking about this here is not such a big deal. And like I said, I think I will do that in the future. Maybe do an analysis of a couple of courses that may have some major tournaments played on them, and just see how we can adapt them from whatever they are into the other thing, whether it's open course to regular tour stop, or whether it's regular tour stop to open course. Anyway, till next time, keep rolling those dice, have fun with your tabletop sports, and for Tabletop Earl, I'm Tenacious Earl. Have a good one.